So you've got us outnumbered.
Well, this week in Congress, women's issues take center stage again with a vote to reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act. There's an interesting title, which some people say has been turned into a political football. Democratic Congresswoman Gwen Moore of Wisconsin is actually sponsor of the House version of the Violence Against Women Act. She joins us right now, which is similar to the bill passed on the bipartisan vote by the Senate. And Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers of Washington State is a co-sponsor of the Republican version of the bill, which will be voted on Wednesday. So let me start with Congresswoman Moore. It seems to me impossible for a woman member of Congress or any member of Congress to go back to their district and tell the women voters, I voted against the Violence Against Women Act. I don't even know how you get past the title of the act and try to explain that.
Well, just let me say, Chris, that not only was the Violence Against Women Act, not only was it not just a women's issue, but it was a bipartisan issue, and both genders voted for it. I think the extent to which it's been politicized is because the Republicans really don't want to follow the recommendations of the Department of Justice, the FBI, advocates who have learned from best practices that in order to be more inclusive, you've got to expand the bill to protect Native Americans, to protect women in lesbian relationships, and certainly to protect immigrant women who cooperate with law enforcement officials.
Well, let me ask on the other side of this issue, Kathy Rogers, Congresswoman, what's wrong with taking care of people who are involved in these same-sex or whatever kinds of relationships? As long as somebody's being beat up by somebody, don't you want to protect them?
Absolutely. And what the Republicans have introduced is a reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. We actually took some of the recommendations from the Congressional Budget Office in our reauthorization. We are committed to this program that has long enjoyed broad bipartisan support.
Yeah, but why not these other? Why don't you cover people who are not in a traditional marriage? Why would you limit it to just traditional marriage folk?
Well, those are side issues that have been attached to this bill, and I think it's very important.
Well, they're not side issues if you're getting beat up by your partner. That's not a side issue. It's your life.
That is an issue. There's nothing under federal law that currently recognizes same-sex couples, and so if we're going to have that debate in Congress, it should be a separate debate from the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act.
But you're a congresswoman. You write the law. You said there's nothing in the law. You write the law. You can write it any way you want. Why not write it to include people in these different kinds of relationships that could involve physical violence?
That's a separate issue from the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act.
Why?
We are committed to getting it. It should be debated separately if we're going to change a federal law related to same-sex couples.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, let me go back to Congresswoman Moore. I can't imagine going back to a district, rural, urban, or suburban, and saying to people, I can't protect wives against their husbands because I don't want to do anything that suggests equality in gay relationships. And by the way, I can't even protect a gay person from being beat up by a gay person because I can't even touch that issue. It seems like the Republicans are so afraid to touch the issue, they don't want to protect people. Your thoughts, Congresswoman Moore?
You know, Chris, it goes even further than that. You take the plight of Native American women. You know, 2/3 of Native American women who are assaulted on tribal lands find that these crimes are not prosecuted because non-Native white men who live on Native properties can't be prosecuted because the tribal authorities don't have any authority to prosecute them. That was part of the expansion that by no means 99%ers or wild left-wing folk, but FBI agents, DAs, police, the Department of Justice recommended. So it wasn't just gay and lesbian people that they thought needed to be protected, but even beyond that, immigrants, only those who would cooperate with law enforcement, who were being beaten by violent people who threatened and held over their heads that they were non-documented, and Native women. as well. So I think that the Republican Party they're really ignoring the recommendations of a broad swath of law enforcement who say that the bill is not worthy of being called the Violence Against Women's Act if you don't protect all women.
Right. Well, the liberal organization MoveOn.org is out with a new TV ad hammering Mitt Romney for his positions on women's issues he took in the primaries. Let's listen to that ad. You can respond. Congresswoman Rodgers.
Congratulations, Mitt Romney. You're the presumed GOP nominee, and all you had to do was
threaten to let our employers take away our contraception coverage.
Threaten to let our insurance companies charge us more just because we're women.
And threaten to get rid of Planned Parenthood,
a life-saving source of health care for millions of women.
So this November, we're going to remember
how you threw women under the bus just to get the nomination.
What did you make of Mitt Romney's performance, Congresswoman Rodgers, when he had to go up against people of the further right like Santorum? Do you think he fought them or he joined them?
Boy, the Democrats are creating a controversy here that doesn't exist. It's a myth to say that we are waging this war on women. The Violence Against Women Act, I am confident it will be reauthorized. There's women like me, Republican women, that are committed to it. It's a very important program, and I believe that we can work out a lot of these issues that Gwen has mentioned. We support equal pay for equal work. It's been long-standing in this country, and we will continue to stand up for that. It was the president who made the change through Health and Human Services on contraceptions. It wasn't the Republicans, it was the president. They are creating distractions. They are trying to divide America and really trying to distract women from the real issues that face this country right now.
Well,
women are concerned about the economy.
Okay,
They're concerned about the debt.
What's wrong with women, as part of their insurance, having the coverage for contraception? What's wrong with that?
It was the president. What I'm pointing out is it was the president.
He's insisted that coverage be there. What's wrong with that?
It was and he initiated the change. It wasn't the Republicans that initiated this change. And it was a change.
You guys opposed it, though. What's wrong with the change?
The way he proposed it, it actually was infringing upon our religious freedom, and it took on the faith of the Catholic Church and their beliefs that they should not be covering contraception in their health insurance plans. But it's more important to remember that it was the president who initiated this change. It wasn't the Republicans that came along. No Republican is talking about taking away contraception from women. It is, again, the Democrats trying to distract and divide Americans and not talk about the economic issues.
That is so on the record. It's unbelievable. The Republicans had a problem with the president because he said health care coverage for women should include contraception, and you guys opposed it.
Well, but it wasn't the Republicans who initiated any kind of a change. It was the president who through rules, through new rulemaking, said the Catholic Church would have to cover contraceptions. And if the president can take on an entire faith, an entire religion in this country, think what he can do for us individually.
Okay, well, let me just tell you, I'm going to close this with the fact that I believe women voters are rational. I look at the voting patterns of women over the years. They're concerned not just for choice, but health care and education, child development, their parents. All those reasons lead to a gigantic gender gap. Women vote Democrat for a reason.
And their future for their children that can't find jobs.
That's true, Chris.
That's right. We are concerned about jobs. Hey, thank you. Please come back. I think on the issues of violence against women, I wouldn't want to have to come back to my congressional district and say I voted nay. Anyway, thank you, Representative Gwen Moore, and thank you, Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers of Spokane, Washington. Up next, Will Ferrell makes his return to SNL as W. You know what? He's good.